Good morning, students. Today we are going to start class 7th SST History, chapter number 9, Emergence of Regional Culture, part 1. So, student, in this video we will learn about how the regional cultures uh, emerge during the medieval period and how these regional cultures were get growth, uh, by what means they get the growth. So it is because of the regional languages which were present over there, which was present during that time medieval period. So those regional languages made the emergence, made this possible that the regional culture can get growth in the during the medieval period. So let us begin with the chapter how these languages help, the different languages help to form the new form of regional cultures in the various areas. The birth and growth of languages. A striking feature of a medieval period in India was the development of several regional languages. As I said, the regional languages are important for the growth of the regional cultures. Mainly Sanskrit and Persian. This is the two language uh, which is used by the upper classes as well as in the court of various rulers, whether they belongs to the Muslim community, whether they belongs to the Hindu community. So they all use only these two main languages, that is Sanskrit and Persian, for their for the work of the courts, or we can say official work they used to do with the Sanskrit and Persian. The wide use of local languages and dialects by the Bhakti saints, as well as the royal patronage by many locals and regional rulers, added to the evolution of diverse languages in India. So, as you have already read in the previous chapter, that the Bhaktis and Sufism led to the growth of different regional languages, such as they are known as dialects from the main language. Basically the dialects were the main languages which which created a way, which has created a path to the other languages to emerge during that time. So languages which were used by a common people during that time, these Bhakti saints and Sufi saint, they recited there all of the hymns or couplets what they created during their time. Those were written in the common languages. So reason is that only that the people can easily understood what they're trying to say. Moreover, religious and secular texts of medieval India in the different languages reflect the custom, tradition, and culture of a specific region where they were composed. So, several couplets, several kirtan, bhajan, or Sufis, Qawwali, and all. So, where they grow, so that matters a lot. Means whatever they wrote, whatever the saints wrote in their couplets or doha and all, or the we can say the musical composition, that represent, that is the replica of the area in which they live. These writings inform us about the cultural interaction, social activity, as well as trading patterns in a particular region. So we get to know about the different or the various information from these of the writings which were written in the medieval period through the different languages. So all these written form, or we can say literary form, provide a sufficient amount of detail during that time, whether they are in the form of song, whether they are in the form of couplets, or whether they are in the form of stories or prose. Now let us begin with the some of the languages which were grow during that time. That the starting with the beginning of the language is started with the Sanskrit. So as you know very well, the Sanskrit is known as the mother language, means it is the it is a main language from since ancient time in India. It was used for the writing, for the higher learning, means if higher education. So Sanskrit is used as a medium of learning since ancient time till nowadays also. There are many states in India or many cities are also there where they use the Sanskrit as their official language as well. During the first half of the medieval period, Sanskrit was patronized by king in central and south India. So, especially Sanskrit was patronized by king of North India as well as South India. North India in the sense Central India. Why it is? Because they used to talk in the Sanskrit language, and they used that language as a official language. Means all records were kept that was written in Sanskrit language so that the people can easily understand. So this was become a important part during the medieval period to the central as well as South Indian rulers. Bhakti saints such as Ramanuja, Madhvacharya, Sankaracharya. So these are some of the Bhakti saints. They wrote every of their books, writing, or we can say their thoughts, their philosophy in the Sanskrit language only. So why? The reason is that the Sanskrit was become the common language during that time, and it is understood by the people, those who are literate, or those who are scholar. If I use the word scholar, so the Sanskrit is easily understood by the scholars during that time. So these saints, these Bhakti saints, used to write in the Sanskrit for their poetry and all. A large number of dharma shastra or digest on Hindu law and customs were written in Sanskrit. So you know very well, every famous saint, they wrote something. They wrote something on the Indian mythology as well as the Indian, or we can say the Hindu laws, basically what the Hindu had to do, what kind of devotion they show there to the god, what are the rituals they have to follow. Everything it is written in the form of Dharma Shastra, or we can say digest, a small contribution by the famous saint during that time. Sanskrit, as I told you, that the Sanskrit was patronized by the rulers, especially Hindu or Rajput rulers during the medieval period, because they kept all of the record into the Sanskrit language only. Here, one more important incident, or we can say one more important point is added in that some of the Jain literature is also written in Sanskrit. Like Hemchandra Suri, he was a Jain and he wrote in Sanskrit. There is very little information regarding the transformation or translation of any Arabic or Persian language into the Sanskrit. Means there is none of the book is present over there during the medieval period that book from Persian language or Arabic language is converted into Sanskrit. There is only one example it is mentioned, that is the story of Yusuf and Julaikha love story by Jami. So this is the only love story, or we can say the Persian work which is written in Persian language that was converted or translated into Sanskrit. The Sanskrit literature, especially the epics like Mahabharata and Ramayana, as well as Puranas, were frequently translated into regional languages. Now, the different Purans, different epics like Mahabharata and Ramayana, those all were written in Sanskrit, but these Sanskrit written books were also translated into the regional languages. So why, what is the reason behind it? Why people have translated those things? They were written in Sanskrit, but what is the need of converting it or translating it to the other language? Because the reason is that the people can easily understood. The people can easily understood that what the Mahabharata and Ramayana used to tell and what they wanted to say. Kalhana's Ras Tarangini, written in 12th century, was a string of biography of King of Kashmir, was the first royal chronicle in Sanskrit. Okay, royal chronicle. The word royal chronicle means that this is the first information during the 12th century that gives the brief description of the rulers. So Ras Tarangini, Kalhan wrote the Ras Tarangini, and he wrote about the several kings, several kings of Kashmir. Like he collected the information from the previous writers, and he compiled in a one book, and that book is known as Ras Tarangani. So this is also written in Sanskrit. So as you see, the Sanskrit was become the important language during that time. The family of histories of Rajput rulers, the family history of Rajput rulers such as Prithviraj Vijay, Hamir, Hamir Mahakavya, these are also written in Sanskrit and were patronized by the rulers itself. Means they encourages the writers to write about them in Sanskrit language. Semi-historical texts such as Prabandh were also composed during this period. So what is Prabandh? Prabandh is a form of writing in which they also give the detailed information regarding the Rajput rulers. Uh, considered as one of the finest work of the Sanskrit language was Jayadev's Geet Govind. So that Jayadev is also a famous person during the medieval period. He wrote Geet Govind, and he wrote about the Lord Krishna and Radha, and what kind of relationship with they are having, that he wrote in the book Geet Govind. The Geet Govind comprised 12 chapters, and each is divided into 24 subdivisions or prabandh. So 12, each chapter, the Geet Govind, it is written in 12 chapters, and every chapter has 24 division. So those divisions, the one chapter's division, 24 division is known as prabandh. So likewise, there are 24 prabandhs in one chapter. So these prabandhs give the detailed information regarding the Lord Krishna and Radha. The verses of Geet Govind have inspired many of the choreographic work in the Indian classical dance. So Geet Govind is a book that provide the choreographers to take inspiration from there, and they added all those things into the Indian classical dance. Likewise, in the south, there in the South India also, there were many rulers, like rulers of Vijayanagara, the Nayaks of the Travancore. Nayaks means also the ruler. They were known as the rulers. Cochin means Nayak of Travancore and Cochin. They also patronized Sanskrit and its literary work. So they also did a lot of effort for the Sanskrit and its literary work. They also encourages their writers to write in Sanskrit language. Many genres like Sanskrit Many genres of Sanskrit like Mahakavya, historical kavya, and dramas were also written during that time. Okay, now this was the time period when many of the writers, they also not they wrote only the song, they not wrote only the hymns or praise. They also wrote several drama and kavya and mahakavya, means the poetic form, or we can say prose form. So they wrote several things in the Sanskrit language. So this all these things gives a good impact, or we can say the encouragement of Sanskrit language was seen during the medieval period by the Rajput rulers as well as the rulers which is present in the South India. There were some of the writers which was present during the medieval period in the South India, like the court of Vellore, in the Vellore city, the Vellore kingdom have two writers like Govind Dikshita and Appaya Dikshita. They wrote several things about the kingdom of Vellore. Neelanath Neel Anant Neel Anant Dikshita was the writer of Court of Madurai. So Madurai, the kingdom Madurai has also the writer, that is his name was Neel Anant Dikshita. He also wrote several things in the Sanskrit. Now moving toward the next language that was famous during the medieval period, it was the Arabic and Persian. So how the Arabic started in India? So the Persian language was introduced by the Turk when they entered in India, which becomes the language of Islamic court as well as administration and upper classes. So the people who belongs to the upper class, the people who were the part of Islamic courts, matlab Islamic darbar, and administration, the management part, they all use the Persian language for their all of the work. Rulers of Delhi Sultanate and a small group of Islamic scholars as well as philosophers used this language for speaking. It was the language for the digest of Islamic law, such as Fatwa Alamgiri, a digest of law written by the group of jurists during the reign of Aurangzeb. So Aurangzeb was also favored the Arabic and Persian language, in which he he asked to write the Fatwa Alamgiri. This was the Islamic law. This was the Islamic law where which Aurangzeb wanted to introduce in his reign. So this is also a good example of a language Persian and Arabic during the medieval period by the several rulers. One of the great Islamic saints, Amir Khusro. So Amir Khusro was there. So Amir Khusro, he created a new literary style called Sabke Hind. Sabke Hind means the style of India, in which he wrote several things in the various languages. Not only the Persian or Arabic, he also wrote in the Hindi and other languages. He began his career at the court of Balban. So Balban was there during the Delhi Sultanate period. He was associated with the court of Delhi Sultanate. So Amir Khusro did not only serve to the Balban. Amir Khusro served various other sultans within his life. He is one of disciple Nizamuddin Aulia. He was a great poet. So Amir Khusro's disciple was there. His name was Nizamuddin Aulia, and he was a great poet. He also known as a great historian, scholar, mystic, and composer of music. So not only Amir Khusro, his disciples were also took part interestingly in for composing the song for the literary work in the Persian language as well as Arabic and Hindi and other local languages. His famous work like Sirin Khushro, Lala Majnu. So these are some of the written work that is done by the Amir Khusro, and other literary work like Quran us Saddain, Tughlaq Nama. So are all are the literary work that is done by the Amir Khusro in the Persian and Arabic language. The Khaliq Bari, it is a dictionary in a verse containing 2000 couplets in Hindi explaining the meaning of Hindi, Persian and Arabic words. So they had also create one dictionary which have the 2000 couplets. 2000 couplets they have, 2000 doha they have. So all have a separate meaning. So those meanings were written in the Hindi, Persian and Arabic words, so that the people can easily understand by reading all those things. So dictionary is what? Dictionary is a conversion of languages where the people can easily understood from one language to another. So this work is also done by Amir Khusro during his service at the various courts. Court chronicles were distinct literary genre of period, and the important works were Fathat-e-us-Salatin, Fathat-e Firoz Shahi, Tabakat-e-Nasiri. So these are some of the genre. Genre is what? It is a general of it is a general of rulers during the medieval period. So they have wrote several books in the Persian and Arabic language. Translation of classical Sanskrit works into Persian was undertaken during this period. So medieval period was a time where the Sanskrit works which is written by the different rulers and their writers, those were translated into the Persian language. The Ramayana and Mahabharata was also translated into the Persian language during the 15th century. Biographies and autobiographies and histories were also written throughout the Mughal period in Persian and Turkish language. So here the biography and autobiography and histories. So what the different rulers, what the Mughal rulers did during their rules, those were written in the Persian and Arabic language, so that their people can easily understand what they had written. Examples are like Babur Nama, Tujhke Jahangiri, and Gulbadan Begum's Humayun Nama, Abul Fazl's Akbar Nama, Badayuni's Padshah Nama. So these are some of the biography as well as autobiography and histories of the people. Those were written in the Persian language. So right now we did read from the beginning of the topic. The topic was Sanskrit, the Sanskrit language, and how it was get encouraged by the people, how it was get encouraged by the rulers, different rulers, and many of the literary work is done in the Sanskrit language. So the next that we have to that we have discussed is that the Arabic and Persian language. So these are the two main language that has come from the outside of the India, and this language has become common because of the Delhi Sultans and Mughal rulers when they established their kingdom and they ruled there in India for several years. So they also did the same thing for the spread of the different languages like Persian and Arabic. So they also created several books, several writings during that time, and those were also become very famous because they had written in their own language, and Persian become the court language as well. Court language, being a court language, means all of the records should be written in the Persian language so that the record can be easily read out by the people, those who are the part of the administration. So this is the work that is done during that period. Now moving towards the next topic, that is the birth of new languages. So this was the time, the medieval period was the time where the new languages also started emerging. Means the new form of languages, the new the all language, though it is said that the Sanskrit is the mother of all languages. So many of the languages is originated from the Sanskrit itself. So let us begin with the topic, the next topic that is going to born, or we can say that is a new languages that is formed during the medieval period. Let us begin with the Hindi. So Hindi, the development of Hindi, one of the popular languages during this period, may be traced back to the 7th to 10th century when poet composed a work in praise of valor and courage of Rajput kings in the Rajasthani version of Hindi. So Hindi is widely used at the by the Rajput rulers, because many of the Rajput rulers, especially in Rajasthan, they wanted to write several things about themselves. So they had started writing all those things in a Hindi language, or we can say Rajasthani Hindi language, so that the king or the rulers can be praised. By these writing. So that is why during the 7th to 10th century, the Hindi became the common language during that time, and several books were written at that time, like Chand Bardai's Prithviraj Raso. So Prithviraj Raso was written in Hindi language that is easily understood what it is written by the Chand Bardai. Various forms of Hindi. There is dialects. Dialect is a other form of a main language, that is the other form of main language, that is the Hindi. So Hindi have several other languages like Braj Bhasha, Khadi Boli, and other Urdu and Mathili. So there are Awadhi, there are a lot of dialects which come from the Hindi, and the other mixture of the other language as well. So Bhojpuri and Awadhi were two main forms of Hindi. Bhakti saints, several Bhakti saints, they have written, as I told you earlier also, the Bhakti saints and the Sufi saints, whatever they say, whatever they sing, whatever they wrote, they those all of those things were in the form of local languages, so that the people can easily understand. So Hindi and its dialects become the local language for the people, and that has gives to chance to the different poets or different saints to write well, to write in the Hindi languages, or the we can say common languages that people can easily understood. There are several Bhakti saints like Kabir, Namdev, Mirabai, and Tulsi Das, Kesav Das, Sur Das. So these are some of the poets, those who have written in Hindi and its dialect languages. Now, there is a one another language that was emerged during that time was the Urdu language. Urdu is also known as camp language. Why camp language? The reason is that it is a mixture of Hindi and Persian language, where when when the Mughals and the Sultanate people, when they started appointing the Hindu peoples, or the peoples those who belong to Hindu religion, and the Hindi speaking peoples, so those peoples have started interacting in Hindi language, and the people those who come from the outside, they interact in the Persian language. So people have started thinking, and that think or that process is came into existence of the new language that is known as Urdu language. Though this language was originated into camp, so that is the reason the language is known as Urdu language. uh, One of the Navratna at court of Akbar, that is the Abdul Rahim Khane Khana or Rahim Khan, he composed beautiful couplets in Persian and Hindi. So he wrote several things in the Persian and Hindi language. The great Sufi mystic like Malik Muhammad Jaisi, you have already heard the name of Malik Muhammad Jaisi. He wrote Padmavat in Awadhi. So Awadhi is also a dialect of Hindi. This reflect the Bhakti and Sufi ideas about relationship of soul with God. Okay, so Malik Muhammad Jaisi wanted to elaborate the Bhakti and Sufi ideas towards the common people and oneness of the God, the soul, the oneness of soul with the God, and on Maya. Maya is what? It is a it is a kind of illusion that is created by several of the needs, which is needed by the common people, which is which is which is the want of the people, not necessary, means that the people want it, it is not required. So this story you have already know that the Alauddin Khilji, how Alauddin Khilji attacked on the Chittor. Now moving towards the next language, that is the Urdu. So as I told you, the Urdu is known as camp language. So because it was originated into the camps of Mughal rulers, and that was the mixture of Hindi and Persian language during that time. So slowly and gradually Urdu become a link language which is spoken and understood by the all. By the time of Mughals, Urdu became a preferred language for the literary composition. So Urdu had started becoming the preference encounter of Persian language. So Urdu had took a great position during the Mughal period. There was a vocabulary also written. Vocabulary replete means it's a dictionary that is the uh, that is the that is of Islamic word with the simple grammar and Islamic Arabic script were the essential feature of Urdu. So Urdu has the feature of Hindi, Persian, and Arabic as well. So many of the words related to the Persian and Arabic and Hindi are found in the Urdu language. There, there are several important growth, or we can say the growth of Urdu language during that period was very important, and Persian become an official language of the empire, and Sanskrit continued to flourish during the South India and the other part where the Hindu rulers rule over there. The next language which is comes under the growth was the Marathi language. So Marathi was the language of Yadava dynasty of Devagiri. They had adopted the Marathi language as the court language. Means the all of the record of the courts were kept into the Marathi language. The Vivek Sindhu, written by Mukund Raj, is considered as one of the oldest book in the prose form. So in the Marathi language, the oldest book written was found is known as Vivek Sindhu, and that was written by Mukund Raj. His another work was the uh, Param Mitra. It is seen as the first systematic attempt to explain the Vedanta in Marathi. So Vedanta is the philosophy of Ved and Veds and its philosophy, that is known as Vedanta. So Vedanta is get converted into Marathi language was known as Param Mitra. Now, there were several saints like Saint or Sant Dhyaneshwar. He also credited with the translating of Bhagavad Gita from Sanskrit to Marathi. So when the regional language get emerged during that time, many of the main languages get converted into the local languages. So Sanskrit work like Bhagavad Gita, which was originally Sanskrit language, that is also translated into the Marathi language. The Mahabharata was translated into Marathi by Mukteshwar. So another saint is also there. His name was Mukteshwar. He also translated Mahabharata in the Marathi. Poet saints like Sant Tukaram, Ramdas, they enriched the language by connecting on Marathi composition, concentrating on Marathi composition. So basically, Tukaram, Ramdas, and many more saints, those who belongs to the Maharashtra and the near regions, they wrote several composition in the Marathi language itself. The next language that was emerged during that period was the Punjabi language. So Punjabi is a popular language of North India, where it was enriched by the Sikh gurus. The Janam Sakhi or the biography, this is the biography of Punjabi's community, which included the detail of life of Guru Nanak as well as the main tenets of the Sikhism. So Guru Nanak and other 10 religious teachers and their teachings as well as their biography were written as the Janam Sakhi. It was found in the Punjabi and its community in the Punjabi language. Folk tales also formed an integral part of Punjabi literature. So there are many folk tales, there are many stories regarding the Guru Nanak and his bravery, and the other 10 gurus which were there in during that time and their bravery. Everything it is sung, it is converted into we can say it is converted into song, and those songs are also sing even today also, that the people can easily get attracted towards, and they easily get to know that the what kind of compromise or what kind of sacrifices is done by those people. The next language that was emerged during that time was the Tamil language. Tamil language is especially introduced, or we can say elaborated or encourages by the Alvar and Nanar saint. This there were several Alvar and Nanar saint, like Alvar saint was Andal, Nammalvar, Nam Alvar, Ton, Tondaradi, Podi Alvar. So these are some of the Alvar saint where they have written everything in the Tamil language. There are many Nayanar saint like Nambi Andar Nambi. So he was the Nayanar saint. They also wrote in the Tamil languages. So their composition, their song, their couplets are written in the Tamil languages. The Chola rulers were also great patron of the Tamil languages, and they patronized the Tamil in their regions. The Kamban, Kamban wrote the Tamil Ramayana. He translated the Ramayana into Tamil language. That person was known as Kamban, and he was a great poet during the medieval period. The next language that emerged was the Telugu language. So Telugu is the language which is mostly visible during near the Vijayanagara Empire. So Vijayanagara Empire and their rulers used the Telugu language. Especially if we talk about the Telugu rulers were the Krishnadev Rai. He was one of the famous rulers, and he himself was a good writer. The eight great poets or Ashtadiggaj. So Ashtadiggaj were lived in his court. There are many famous poets were like Allasani Peddana or Nandi Timanna. So these are some of the poets were the part of the Ashtadiggaj of the Vijayanagara Empire. You have already heard the name of Tenali Rama and Krishna Dev Rai. So Tenali Rama was a scholar and jester during the Vijayanagara Empire. He also resided at his court. And Bhagvat or the Bhagavatam is also translated into Telugu language by Pothana. So he translated from Sanskrit into Telugu language. Now moving towards the next language, that was the Malayalam. So Malayalam is the language. It was said that it is a dialect of Tamil, but over a period of time it acquired the status of independent language. So somehow Malayalam was a dialect of Tamil, but slowly and gradually Malayalam became an important language of the Kerala and the other regions. In its oral form, the earliest work, Ramcharitam, was written in 14th century. So the first work which is visible in the Malayalam language was Ramacharitam, which was written in the Malayalam language during the 14th century. The language was introduced and used in the inscription by Chera dynasty. So when Chera dynasty was there, they used to rule over there. So they introduced the Malayalam language especially. The earliest literary composition in Malayalam show a strong influence of Sanskrit. As I said, Sanskrit is a mother language to the all or other languages. So Sanskrit is also visible in the Malayalam. Lalit Leela Tilakam is one of the book which contains the grammar and poets or poetry during that time, and this book contains the Mani Pravallam. So Mani Pravallam is what? It is a poetic form where they used to denote the languages, in a diamond and coral. Though the diamonds are very precious, they are very shinier. Corals are also that. Corals is also used. Corals are also used for making jewelries and the other ornaments. So this Malayalam become, or we can say Lalit Leela Tilakam. Leela Tilakam was written in Malayalam language, but they use several metaphor, or we can say several couplets or several other things in a form of Mani Pravallam. So Mani Pravallam is you have heard the name of several kind of words which is denoted to represent the other word. Like if we take the examples that something is something is shiny like a sun. So it does not lack that product it is itself shining like shining as a sun, but it shines like a sun. Like every gold, every glitter is a not gold. So we cannot denote. It is just a metaphor that is used for the Leela Tilakam. Traditional temples theatre from Kerala, while performed in Malayalam, is adapted into the two Sanskrit epics for their themes. So basically, the the Malayalam language was used for the performance in the Kerala and the nearby temples during the medieval period. So they use the Malayalam language for the song, for the dance, and the other practices which they used to do in the temple and the peripheral areas. The next is the Kannada language. So the Kannada language is preached in Karnataka and other languages and the nearby languages. Those the Kannada is enshrined by the Pampa, Panna, and Ranna. It is also known as the three jewels of Kannada literature. Like the Mani Pravallam is there. So like Pampa, Panna, Ranna is also three jewels of Kannada literature. And this language was popularized by the Jaina writers or the Jain writers, like they have wrote several things in the Kannada language, as well as Veer Seva's movement such as Baswanna. So Baswanna was the founder of the Veer Seva's cult of the Alvar. Nanar. Those were also written in the Kannada languages. So whatever the Veer Sevas they wrote to implement the Lord Shiva's thought, or we can say what they wanted to implement for the praising of the god. All of the things are written in the Kannada languages. So this for today, this topic is over, and what you have to do is that you have to write some of the dialects and composition of the composition in the dialects of Hindi. Basically, you have to write the dialects of Hindi, and what are the dialects and what are the composition in those dialect languages that you have to write in your copy. Thank you, students.